Hello. So today I'm asking for some help, really, some guidance to try and navigate some really murky waters that surround this EHCP, Educational Healthcare Plan. Now, an educational healthcare plan is something in the state system that is put in place when a child has specific learning, special educational needs that need addressing, and the facility that they're in, the school that they're in, needs special provision to provide these for them. So a lot of parents in the state system will apply for something like this through their local council. They may be directed or referred there from their GP, I think. In the private system, it's called SEN, Special Educational Needs, or with a D, Special Educational Needs Department, SEND. And what that means is parents may be referred by the GP, or they may undertake independent assessment, and that independent assessment could be an educational psychologist, it could be an ADHD or an autism assessment leading to a diagnosis. There's lots of different ways you can do it, but the end result is we're looking to support the child with special educational needs in both sectors. That's what we want to do. So in this VAT policy, it says that special educational needs are exempt. So it says that if your child has an EHCP, you will not be subjected to 20% extra on your school fees. Now, I'm confused and would really like some help on this. So we know that this is state. We know that that is the system in the state system to hopefully get the care and provision that your child needs. Now we know that some local authorities cannot provide the care and that is written in the educational healthcare plan. We know that that's not available in some authorities. So in which case the children there get sent round here to private school. And in that private school, the local authority pays for either all of the fees or a percentage of the fees. Now, if they pay for a percentage of the fees, mum and dad or carer pay for the rest of the fees. Now, the local authority will get their VAT back. The local authority gets a refund of the VAT. Mum and dad, carer, whoever pays the fees, they do not get a refund. So, if the local authority pays 50%, for example, that's LA, 50% by the LA, then they get the VAT back on that 50%. If the parents pay 50%, they do not get a refund on that 50%. So we know that local authorities are VAT exempt. Parents are not VAT exempt. So if you have an EHCP for your child and your child has been moved into the private sector, the local authority gets a refund on the VAT, as I understand it. And this is why I'm asking for clarification here, because it's a very murky pond. So in the private system up here, we have no EHCP. So when the children in the private system are moving to state, if they want to get special educational needs that the school cannot deliver, they have to apply for an EHCP, like the state school children did. Now, to apply for an EHCP, we are told by local authorities it's 18 to 24 months. That process takes 18 to 24 months. Now, in that process, your child and you will be subjected to a rigorous testing process to see what your educational needs are and if they meet the criteria that the local authority will support. Now, I am told, and again, I need clarification on this, that most of these EHCPs are not given. So there's hardly any given out. The ones that are often are as a result of a tribunal. Now, everybody's asking at the minute, fact check, fact check, fact checked. If you listen to the Woman's Hour podcast on Radio 4, that has all the facts, and I'm basing a lot of my information from Woman's Hour, where they did Woman's Hour Radio 4. They did a really good in-depth SEN podcast which explained what happened, and by parents of who have gone through this process. So in that 18 to 24 months, often the EHCP is rejected. If you go for a tribunal, you may or may not get it. Now, the feedback in this was that that's extremely stressful for both child and parent. So let's assume we have got our ECHP, and in that ECHP, it recommends that the child goes back from state into private, or it will say it can provide the provisions in state. However, we know that those provisions are already not meeting the children that are in state. So these two children in state here are already not getting the provisions. So when the private school children come in with their ECHPs, we've now got more children requiring the state provision and it's not available. So the grey areas in all of this are the blanket statement that you are exempt if you have special educational needs or an EHCP. That's, as I understand it, not true. Because as I understand it, it's the local authority that is exempt, not the parent. As I also understand it, if your child has the equivalent of an EHCP in private school and they need that equivalent EHCP to be put into place in state school, they will have to apply for an EHCP. And so we've now got 18 to 24 months. Now for the children that are leaving private school now, which we know are about 5,511. The figures change every day. This is fluid, but we know that we are roughly on the 5,511. Now, a percentage of those are already in the process of applying for an EHCP. I'll be with you in just a minute, Stanley. He wants me to turn the tap on to have a drink. So we know that they're in the process of applying for that. Now, a lot of these children are moving in GCSE years. So by the time 18 to 24 months that comes into play, they will have left school. So then that becomes obsolete. We also know that a lot of children are moving in year 7 because we've discussed before that private school intake is 4% down. So we know that 10,000 children, we don't know where they are yet, but we know that they have applied for a place and they are moving into the state system. Now, a really interesting figure is that 46% of children in private school have some form of special educational need. So we can make an assumption that out of the 10,000, everyone wants to get in touch with me today, out of the 10,000 children that have already left private and gone into state, 46% of them have special educational needs. So are we then to assume that they will be going to get an EHCP because we know that they're not available? And if they are, 46% of those children are coming into state in year 7, that means that by year 9, they might have an EHCP. And that EHCP may well then put them back in the school that they have come from. Now, this is a big mess. My board is a mess. And I'm asking openly, I am declaring that despite a lot of research and a lot of listening, I am at this point unable to understand the process and what the statement means when it says children with special educational needs will be exempt. This statement is not clear. What I understand is that there is a process to get an EHCP, but there are many loops and it is a rigorous process and it is from all that I have heard, and if you listen to the Woman's Hour podcast on Radio 4, it will explain further that this is a very traumatic process. So I would like clarification from the Minister for Education on what she means when she says children with special educational needs will be exempt from the VAT policy. This is really, really important because we know that's a lot of children. And without being facetious, when the Minister for Education is talking about this VAT policy raising money so that we can give all children an education, it's very, very evident from this messy board that all children are not being catered for. So could the Education Minister answer the question, what does she mean when she says children with special educational needs will be exempt from VAT? I'm going to go and give the cat some water. Thanks so much. You can screenshot it.